Okay, let's see if we can get this set up just right. I'm going to continue a little bit with my modeling. Last we left off, I believe we were talking about the wing and the lofts on there. So let's go back. What you can do on here is, I believe you can grab the bottom bar on the left panel, and you can do it. I think it's a rollback bar. I think you can see it there. You can grab, if I can find it. There's a rollback bar. Grab the rollback bar, bring it back all the way to. I can't seem to grab it. It won't let me grab it. Oh well. Can roll it back a bit normally. Right now it doesn't seem to be. Oh, yeah. That's why. It's because I'm not signed in. Work on that. There we go. So go from here, take that out, go back to the rollback bar. Now I can move it. You can go back on the rollback bar, bring it back to where we were left off last. So it's a lot of work here. Let's hinge. Then we have the cockpit entry, wing detail, engine details, vents, lofts. Here we go. So go to the ends of the lofts. So from here you can see the wing. There's the wing profile. So the wing was created as one piece across, and you can see the profile there. The reason why I made it one piece is because I wanted it to look smooth and continuous even after cutting. I was planning on cutting it after the fact to see if I could get this to fold properly, but the priority was to get the shape correct so that the shape appeared normal. So once I got the lofts done, and if anybody's confused, again, you can always just leave a comment on if you're confused or if you want to try and get more detail on how to do a loft. There's a lot of resources online. There's a guy named Too Tall Toby, which I took a lot of instruction off of. He has a lot of really good resources for creating sketches using or models using Onshape. I would suggest starting there because that's where I started. Once you get those done, you can actually create lofts, and you can see again, you can get some fairly complex geometry there, where the loft is a connection between two sketches. So in this case here, you have one sketch of the profile of the wing here attached to another profile here, but that is connected by guides. So here you'll see a guide, which is this rail here, and then back here, which you can see it's not a straight shot from one sketch to another. There's a curve here that it follows. So you get that nice swooping curve for the wing. Rather than a straight back or multiple, short straight segments between lofts. Here you get a continuous curve between the two sketches, but there's definitely some interesting geometry there. Same with here too. I did a loft here, except I went in the opposite direction, came out and then back in towards that sketch. So again, it looks a lot more like an organic shape design fighter style. So after that, I started working on the canard. So this is the canard here, and I can reveal that. So the canard was done here. It's just a very flat. I didn't feel like making this into an airfoil profile. So it's a flat design. You can see it's just basically a straight shape, extruded. So the sketch was from the original sketch way back. If you remember way back here when I did this plant sketches, that's where it came from. And an extrude, I think you can even open it up. It tells you where the extrude came from. The extrude is new, came off of these drawings here. Extruded it to a 2mm depth. It was a blind extrude, so that means it just goes straight, and you can actually even see in the drawing where it's a very square shape. There's no contour there. After that extrude was done, lost my spot. After that extrude was done, looks like I did another extrude. I don't know what that extrude was for. That extrude was actually out, so the basic plane shape wasn't, or the basic wing shape wasn't connected to the fuselage. So I extruded that edge, the highlighted edge there, out towards the body to connect it. So that explains that extrude. From there, a bunch of fillets to round it off so it doesn't look all square. It's pretty easy. A couple more fillets to round those corners so it looks nice. And then after that, then the details started. So I did a sketch on that top surface of where I wanted the panel lining to go. From there, did another extrude. Did a thin extrude of that panel line. So there's an option of doing a solid surface or thin extrude. So if you have a singular line across here, you can do a thin extrude of that line. Let's zoom in here. And then give it some thickness. So in this case, it was a thickness of 0.6mm. And then I did a depth. In this case, it was up of 5.1 millimeters. So this was sitting on top of the surface. It wouldn't have done anything. And then after that, once that was done, I moved the face. So I moved the face of that surface down into the canard by 0.6 millimeters. And then I did a Boolean remove or subtract, where I cut away that material there. And then by cutting away that material there, that left the panel line. So it's visible. So it looks all right. And again, I think you can see, I can switch cameras for a second. Yep. Let's switch to the top-down camera. I think you can see here. It might be hard to see in the camera view, but you can see the panel lining there. It does show up at the 0.6. I might be able to make it a little deeper, but it's sort of good enough right now for me. You can see the panel lining also in the wing. Again, I don't know if it comes through on the camera as much, but definitely in person it does show up, and you can see it pretty clearly. I can kind of see it there. So far so good on that. Again, that's what doing test prints will do. Test prints will help you figure out if you're heading the right path without using too much filament and too much plastic. And also all the effort that you're doing to try and make the model. You want to test print it, I think, fairly often. At least in my eyes, you would want to. So you have a better idea of if you're heading in the right direction or not, especially when you're spending a lot of time doing all this modeling and finding out that the thing that you modeled's impractical or doesn't print. From there, did the midtail. So the midtail is there. Had to create the plane, midtail plane. The midtail plane was a angled plane. So if you actually look at it face on here, it's not straight up and down. It's actually canted slightly by 2 degrees, by what you can see here. So what I did was I picked a line. You can see that line there. I drew a line, and then from that line, I took the right plane and tilted it. And you can see here, there's a control point where you can tilt it. Because in the actual drawing itself, I don't think that mid-wing is actually vertical. I think it's slightly canted. So I wanted to replicate that. So I took that plane and tilted it. And if you guys aren't familiar with how the planes work, the plane in my eyes is the work surface that you're drawing on. So you want to think of it as a work surface, and then you have a sketch on top. So in this case here, I put the work surface on an angle, and then now I'm going to draw on that to actually draw out the feature that I want. So in this case here, this is the sketch, fairly basic. Again, extracted that drawing off of the blueprint design. Did that, drew it out, fairly simple. This is pretty simple geometry as a whole. Didn't put I didn't make it into a wing shape because it was just a vertical stabilizer. So it was a straight extrude. That extrude was 2 millimeters. So again, very much like that front canard. Nothing special there. Did a fillet all the way around to make it nice and round. And then did the same thing, added details afterwards. All the panel lining, did the little bolts on the side. If you look in the drawings, and I think on the toy also, there's like little bolts down the side of the mid-wing. I actually even featured these. They're actually little hexagons. They don't print like that because the resolution's not that good, but if you actually look at the model, they are little bolts. They're not round, but then when you look at the print itself, if I go down to back to this camera view, you can see I modeled there, and they showed up. There's a little bit of artifacting above and below where you see there's like a layer shift there, but again, it came out fairly well. No big issues. Did panel lining on the back side and some on the front. After that, started working on the landing gear. So the landing gear was fairly complex. That's the landing gear I ended up with. How I made the landing gear, sketched it out, put a circle for the wheel, circle for the tire. They were concentric. Made the hub, extruded that through. You can see the extrudes. Made the hub there. Extruded and drew out the features for the wheel. Did a bit of move face. Drew another plane. I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself here. You can always hit. This is another feature of Onshape. You can hit escape if you've selected too many things and you want to blank it out. You just hit it spacebar and it deselects things. From here, I don't know why I did that. That's interesting. I did a plane. Then that plane I must have sketched on. There you go. So I sketched. Oh, this is. I think I did a revolve. Yeah, probably a revolve. There you go. There's a revolve there. So I revolved that to make the wheel. Another way I could have done it is I probably could have just done a circle and extruded it. Again, there's multiple ways to do this, so this is just the way I did it at the time. Now that I look back on it, maybe I could have changed it or did something different. Didn't really need to do it that way, but that's the way I did it at the time. revolve the wheel. Um, some kind of mirror move. Drew a plane out in the direction of where I wanted this part of the wheel to go, or the landing gear to go. The landing gear itself, I think in the toy and on the blueprint isn't very detailed, so I believe I took some reference from Real. Let me see if I can actually find that. Just for your amusement. Where's my reference documents? Here. So quick Google search, and I found this. So I took some of the detail. Oh, it's not showing up on there. That sucks. Oh well. Trust me, it's there. It's only showing the window. I can't show you that, and I don't think I'm configured for it, unfortunately. But there's a document online that I did search out for the landing gear, and it showed a picture of like a trail arm, a side brace, lower shock absorber, some trunnions, all that stuff. I just copied all of that and sort of made my version of the landing gear. If you look at the landing gear on 3D Joe's of the toy, I don't think they're as detailed. I'm trying to find one right now. I don't have a good side view, actually, surprisingly. But either way, that's how I designed it to make it look a little bit better. I did know that at the time that when I did design these, that this would likely not print well because of the spacing and the size of the diameter. So later on, I fixed that. So I actually thicken it up and attach it to the wing itself, so that when I do finally go to print it, it's gonna be a thicker piece, all one. It's not gonna be this fine a detail, and it's not. This would likely break. I'm thinking. I didn't even test print it. If you look at my test prints that I've done so far, I haven't test printed this part yet. But knowing some of the diameters on here, it's unlikely that it'll print, so I just didn't even bother. From there, I worked towards, I went back up to the body. One of the things on the body that I wanted to do. Let's see if I can. How did I get there? Whoops. Did I just break everything? I may have broke my model. Oh, there we go. Why can I not select it? There we go. So the next thing I worked on is the intake. The intake was an interesting one. It wasn't that easy to do. And then later on, through designing the model, I did break it and have to redo it, which kind of sucked. But overall, it still turned out okay. I think there's some defects down here, where it doesn't look quite right. I'm not sure how well that's going to print based off of that shape. It doesn't match up. Again, since this was redone, after I haven't done a reprint on this one or test print, so I'm not sure if that's gonna look correct right here. But the test print that I did before looked fine, so I'm hoping. I don't know. We'll find out. The intake was interesting because I wasn't sure what I wanted to do with that. The original intake on the toy, I believe, is removable. So, but a lot of people are, I think it's fairly impractical. It wasn't really a good play feature for some. but I still wanted to try and maintain as much of the original design intent as possible, so I still designed it as best I could with the fact that this is removable. I did a bunch of different planes here to try and isolate where that intake was. Sketched out, made another plane up here, sketched it out, sort of tried to box out where the front and the back were, and then did a loft between the two. We're gonna hit escape to get rid of that. Just extruded that down to get that shape. From there, I believe I did a Boolean remove to cut open the fuselage. So now I have this big gaping hole. And then I need to fill the hole. At the same time, I believe I did a Boolean split. I think it got rid of some of this junk inside of that coming from this wing that was inside the body that I didn't want to keep looking at, so I removed that. Did some more splits. Drew a front plane of where this intake was gonna go. Designed it out. So you can see the design of the shape. Here. So I followed that line out and then down and around. So I had the front of the intake and then followed also the line on the inside of the body so that I had the inside. Did one for the rear. You can see it there. So the rear was sketched out the same way. I did a plane based off of that cut edge from that Boolean, and then drew it out so that the front and the back were different. So the front was narrow and the back was this wide gaping. Again, if you look at the toy and the blueprint, that's the way it looked, so it kind of followed that. From there, did a loft between the two. So lofted this part to here, and then that turned it into one solid piece. From that solid piece, did a shell so that that was open from the front to the back. There weren't these fins on the inside. Then I drew the fins on the inside. Extruded those through there. Joined them to the rest of the intake. Split it, got rid of any of the excess, deleted the excess, and then joined it as one giant piece. So now this whole intake piece is one piece. It shows up in your parts list down here. So then I can turn on and off the part separate. Now that's pretty fast to go through, but basically that's it. I cut the hole and then I matched that front face and the back face of that hole to what I wanted, drew out the shape that I wanted, lofted between the two, detailed it by cutting in and shelling, and then adding the detailed back that I wanted, and then it basically is its independent part on there, located properly. So I think I posted this one a few times so people saw it in this shape at some point in time on the website. From there, did a bunch of detail work on the outside. I think a lot of this was just basically panel lining. You'll see the panel line shows up. So panel lining, again, trying to detail it out. It's almost identical to the panel lining that I did on the card, is that I drew out a sketch on that flat surface, extruded it out, thickened it, went in a bit, and then booleaned it, and then did a move face to cut into it, and then did another boolean to remove any of the excess so that I had a consistent depth. And there's some errors here. It's not perfect because you'll see at certain points you'll see some lines like that feature there. There's a couple lines there, but for the most part it works. I don't think I have that much problems with it. I also have this and this event cut. I gotta get rid of those. There we go. That looks better. I had a double hull there, so now it looks better. Now you can actually see the depth, the consistency of the depth in that cut. And that, there's a little bit inconsistency there, but for the most part it's fine. Looking through, and then I tried to mimic the blueprint. So I was just detailing it pretty quick, fairly easy to do. Didn't really stress out on that one. Did the top vent, so that was just cutting it out, cutting out the shape. This weird vent that was on top of the craft. I think for the most part, my understanding of that piece there, that piece was part of what was holding the canopy in. When I look at the drawings and the models and then parts that I looked at on eBay when I started doing an eBay search for reference images, it looked like that was the issue. So I just drew it in because it's consistent with the original model. I'm gonna have to go. I'm getting texts, but eventually I'll get more to it. Here on this one, modeling out. I think this one was challenging. Was modeling the whole vent out. You can see there. That was a bit challenging. I think this probably took me a couple hours to do, just to get it to look right. Doesn't look all that complicated, but for me it ended up being a bit of a puzzle to get it that shape correct, because it is a bunch of off-angled cuts, both in this direction and in this direction. And then also you have this sort of scalloped scale-like pattern for the vent. It was a bit of a pain. Plus I put also some fillets around it to give it some more definition. Yeah. So that's about it. I don't know how long I've been talking for. Hopefully it wasn't too long, but anyway, that's all. Hopefully you guys like this stuff. Again, if you have any comments or concerns, just post them. I'd appreciate it, or post them on the other, post them on the forum site. Any comment would be appreciated because I'm trying to figure out how to do this better, or if this is actually even something that you guys want to see, or if you want me to detail it out different. I'm just sort of practicing for that when I eventually finish this and then start moving on to a different project, which is the helicopter I'd like to try to do. So I would like to practice at this before I go into hardcore modeling online and sort of work out the bugs. Right now I'm using OBS as the streaming software. I still don't know how to schedule or do anything. I don't know how to get people in on as guests or anything like that. I really don't know how to schedule this at all to begin with. Again, this is all just a giant experiment for me. I'm not usually one to be on this side of the camera, but I figure it was something interesting to sort of challenge myself with. So, take everything with a grain of salt on this side. I am truly not an expert at Onshape or CAD for the most part, although I do some more CAD recently. I'm starting to even do CAD at work, which is not my wheelhouse for the most part, but I managed to do some stuff there. And again, it's kind of amazing where you kind of end up when you just start doing stuff. and people start seeing that you can get some stuff done, all of a sudden they start asking you to do stuff. So it's kind of neat that way. Yeah, and then eventually I went from there to give a little update to this is where I am right now. So you can see the bombs are modeled, the cannons are modeled. Um, the bombs are modeled such that they fit a dog bone. Dog bones have clearance so I can adjust. If that doesn't fit on the first test print, all of the features and panel lining are done on that. I did the interior. I added a cockpit console, which isn't detailed. I don't know if I'm going to detail it, but eventually maybe. I put magnets as a clasp on the front of the canopy here, modeled all this out to make sure it works, test printed it. I did a chair, or the pilot seat. I put that with a magnet so they can slide in and out, which is something that the original didn't do. I made storage space on the inside behind the chair, which is not part of the original. I used artificial intelligence off of a picture that I found on the internet of the real toy engine, or real quote unquote toy engine. I made it make me an STL model of it that I placed to sort of size out and get an idea of what it could look like. And again, you can see it here. So that's an AI generated model of a picture of an actual Firebat engine, and I kind of placed it in there. It's just free floating in there. Because the picture didn't include the front of it, and I didn't want to pay for all that stuff. The front is missing, so I'm gonna have to remodel that. But basically, it kind of fits like that. There's a lot of gap on the bottom that I have to fix. But then from that STL sort of AI generated model, I used that as reference to build out an actual CAD model to fill its place, and that's what that looks like. So it's multiple parts, a little bit of detail here and there, to the point where I can take off the intake cover and you can actually see inside. So I think I've posted that. You can actually see that there. So you get an idea of what that is. But that has not been mounted to the fuselage of the plane. So there's still a lot of work to be done here. I have to figure out how I'm going to attach this bottom surface to the rest of it. I think where this is leading to is I'm going to do it like this, where it's almost like a Picatinny rail style. If I go here, the seat. So if you look at the seat, I have this sort of Picatinny style ish. Again, I use the term very loosely. Sort of connection point. I think I'm gonna do that, but for here, so I can slide that engine into place, and then have a backstop so that when it does go in, it stops against something, and then have a magnet to lock it in. I think I'm gonna do the same thing for this. Give you an idea. Then once that's in, I figure out the rest of the details. I'm pretty much done. From there, I'll do a test print. I think I'm gonna, because I have an H2D, I think I'm gonna try to do a 2 or 3 color, probably a 3 color test print. One of the colors will be PETG, because I need PETG for the articulated wing. I'm gonna put PETG right here and here, so that when I bend it, it's not going to stick, but it's going to have 0 clearance there. I can show you in a second. And then the canopy will be printed in clear PETG for now. I'm thinking about sending the canopy to Onshape, not Onshape, to PCBWay and then maybe getting them to print it in clear. I have recently done some modeling for the father-in-law where he wanted some radio parts. He collects 1940 styles radios, and I modeled a part for a radio recently, printed it. I got PCBWay to print it, and it turned out like remarkably good. Like crystal clear plastic, very thin walled, good geometry. They held the geometry well. I'm very happy with what they did. I'm thinking about sending this to them to get done. The cost of the model that I asked them to do for the radio, I think it ended up costing me $50 for two, but over half of the cost was shipping. So realistically, each of the canopy, or not canopies, but each of the cones that I got them to print in clear, which are about the same size as this, were about $10 per canopy per part. So I'm expecting it to be about the same for these if I got them to print them in clear resin. And again, I'm talking like these were crystal clear prints. So I'm wondering if maybe I should do that for these. Don't know yet. I did print when I printed the cones that he wanted. I did print them in clear PETG. They look like crap, but I did use them as test fit in PETG. They worked out well, and then when I compared them to the PCBWay prints, they were bang on, and everything fit and looked great. I can show you again some of the work that I did here, where here's the canopy in PETG. You can see the mechanics here, how it works. So my concern here was I wanted to keep this intact, where there's no bump out or no hinge on the outside. I wanted the hinge to be hidden, but I wanted to also open up all the way. So designing this properly was a big pain in the butt, but it turned out fairly well. So that whole hinge is hidden, and it comes around. It doesn't interfere with anybody sitting. It doesn't interfere with the fuselage. When I open it up, it opens nice and smooth, as you can see. I did originally concept that I would have extra magnets on the inside. I don't know if, again, you can see. They were supposed to lock it in. I don't know if they're going to hold, to be honest with you. They're still modeled in there. I eventually tested a little bit further, but I don't want to glue it into this prototype. But when I did have it, it wasn't holding all that great because it was more of a shear movement against those magnets, and I don't think that shear movement's going to be held by the magnets. The magnets tend to hold best when they're perpendicular hold, so that's why I switched the model up and I put a hole in the front. Sorry, you can't see. A hole up in the front here, and I put a mounting spot in the top of the canopy here so that when it locks down, it's going to hold here as well, and that'll hold it down. This console bit's not part of the original toy. I just thought it would look nice. I think it still does look nice. I think I have to put some instrumentation there eventually. The fit up is good. Like I said, I might do this in multiple colors when I do print it, except for the I'm gonna have to isolate one of the colors for PETG because I want this to work here. And again, I've posted this in the past, but not explained it. I just put a picture up. You can see the PETG here and here. It's part of the print. There's zero movement. Like, there's no looseness to that joint. It's tight. I can twist it, turn it, do whatever. It is rock solid. And then I can move it. It holds position pretty much in almost any position I want. I don't know how long it'll last, but it does hold position. I do have space enough here to put in magnets if I want. If I want to hold it down, I can always pop in some magnets here, pop in some magnets here, and then boom, that'll stay down. At this point, it's not necessary to modify and do the work for it, although it probably wouldn't take me more than an hour to do. I'm not going to bother doing that just yet. But I'm reserving one of the colors on the H2D to do the PTG gaskets here and here to lock that. I have an AMS on there. I can do the other colors, but this thing is gigantic, so this thing's gonna waste an incredible amount of um plastic in changes. So I don't think I want to do more than a 2-color or 3-color print, and the third color being PTG. So I would use PTG here, here, and I think that's about it. And the interface between the supports would be PTG. So that reserves that. I might put that on the right extruder. I think it's the right extruder. And then on the left extruder, I might put black and red, or black and then red on the right extruder. Because red is going to be the main body, but I think I want to do all the interior in black. That's my thought. So I'm still pretty far. I might do black for the cannons here too. Black for the landing gear. So those are the parts that I think I would print at the same time in black. I'm not gonna do the seat. I won't do the engine will be a separate part. The seat will be a separate part. Yeah. So that's where that stands. I was thinking about putting electronics in it though. So that was another thing I was mucking around with recently. I did buy some electronic parts. I bought some ESP32 microcontrollers just for fun. So I have 3 here. I have 1 here with a screen. I've been mucking around them this weekend. I'm not sure if I screwed this one up or not because I'm having problems trying to figure out how to program it. But that would be a lot of extra work that I'm not sure if I want to do yet. That's it. That's all. Talk to you guys later.